My name is Clara. I'm 31 and I live with my husband, Daniel, in a small apartment in the suburbs. Daniel is the kind of man everyone admires. He's gentle, hardworking, and always attentive to my needs. Every morning he makes me coffee before he goes to work. Every evening he always asks, "Are you tired today?" And indeed, I am very tired. For months, my body has been getting weaker and weaker. I frequently have headaches, insomnia, and sometimes my hands and feet tremble uncontrollably. But I thought it was just work pressure. I work as a manager at a large fashion store. There are many customers, a shortage of staff, and everything is exhausting me. One evening, Daniel looked at me worriedly when he saw me almost collapse in the kitchen. "Clara, this isn't normal. You need to see a doctor." I forced a smile. "I just need to rest." But he disagreed. 2 days later, Daniel took me to see a doctor named Harris. He said he was an acquaintance of a colleague and very famous. The clinic was so luxurious, it surprised me. After a series of questions and examinations, Dr. Harris smiled. "Congratulations, Clara. You're perfectly healthy." I almost burst into tears of relief. Daniel squeezed my hand. "I knew it. You're just overworked." I believed him. Until we were about to leave the clinic, Daniel told me to wait outside because he needed to ask a few more questions. The doctor's office door was slightly ajar, and then I saw my husband hand Dr. Harris a thick white envelope. The doctor quickly slipped it into his desk drawer. My heart went cold. Why was my husband secretly giving money to the doctor? On the way home, Daniel kept talking about how we should go on a beach vacation. But I barely heard anything. All I could think about was the white envelope. Finally, I asked, "What did you give the doctor?" Daniel's smile faded slightly. "Oh, just some money for him. He's having a hard time." I frowned. "A doctor that rich?" Daniel chuckled softly. "You're overthinking it." But from that day on, I started paying more attention. Every time I complained of being tired, Daniel would always say, "Just rest." Every time I had a terrible headache, he would say, "The doctor said you're fine." Gradually, I began to doubt myself. Maybe I was really imagining things? But then one day at work, I suddenly fainted in front of everyone. When I woke up, my manager Evelyn looked at me worriedly. "Clara, you need to see a doctor elsewhere." I told her the doctor said I was perfectly normal. Evelyn was silent for a few seconds, then said, "No, your body is crying out for help." That sentence haunted me all night. That evening, Daniel was showering when his phone lit up. I had never checked my husband's phone before, but this time, I did. A new message appeared. "The next payment is due. Center, Dr. Harris." My hands trembled. Payment? Not help. Not alone. But a payment. I felt like the world was collapsing around me. The next morning, I lied to Daniel, saying I was going to work. But in reality, I took a bus to another town to see a new doctor. Her name was Rebecca. As soon as she saw me, she asked, "How long have you been suffering from this?" I told her everything. Dr. Rebecca's eyes grew serious. She performed many tests. 3 days later, I returned to receive the results. I had never been so scared. Dr. Rebecca sat opposite me for a long time before saying, "Clara, you have a brain tumor." All the sounds around me seemed to disappear. I was speechless. "We discovered it quite late, but there's still a chance for treatment if we start now." I burst into tears. Not because of the disease, but because I realized my husband knew. He knew I was sick, and he paid a doctor to lie to me. Dr. Rebecca gently squeezed my hand. "The person who did this to you is extremely dangerous." I returned home feeling empty. Daniel was cooking dinner as usual. He smiled. "Are you feeling better today?" I placed the test results on the table. His smile vanished. Daniel's face turned pale. Finally, he broke down in tears. "I'm sorry." I looked at the man before me, feeling like I was looking at a stranger. "Why?" Daniel's voice trembled. "My mother died from that disease. I can't bear the thought of losing you again." I screamed, "So you're letting me die a slow death?" He knelt down, sobbing uncontrollably. But for the first time in my life, I no longer felt pity for him. That night, I couldn't sleep. Daniel sat in the living room for hours while I quietly packed my clothes into a small suitcase. Each item I picked up brought back memories of happy days gone by. The dress he bought for my birthday, the photo of us smiling by the beach, the woolen scarf he stayed up all night knitting for me last winter. Everything was real. His love was real, but the betrayal was also real. As I pulled my suitcase toward the door, Daniel immediately stood up. "Clara, please don't go." His eyes were red from crying. I had thought seeing him in pain would soften my heart, but no. All I could think about were the days I lay curled up in pain, and him holding me and saying, "You just need to rest." Daniel moved closer. "I know I was wrong, but I did it because I love you." I laughed through my tears. "No, I did it because I was afraid of myself." He was speechless. I looked at the man I once loved more than anything. "You didn't save me, Daniel. You're killing me every day." I walked out of the apartment. For the first time in years, I left without looking back. I moved in with Evelyn. She took care of me like a mother. During treatment, my hair started falling out. My body weakened day by day. There were nights I was in so much pain I couldn't sleep. But at least I was living the truth. Daniel kept calling. Hundreds of calls. Dozens of messages. "I'm sorry. Please give me a chance. I can't live without you." But I didn't answer. One morning, I received a call from Dr. Rebecca. "We've reported Dr. Harris." A few weeks later, his license was suspended. I wasn't happy, because the most painful thing wasn't the doctor's lie, but the fact that the person who gave him the money was my husband. If you're listening to this story and have ever placed absolute trust in someone, remember, true love never requires you to live in lies. And if you find this story meaningful, please like and leave a comment with your feelings below. 6 months later, my life changed completely. I was no longer the Clara I used to be. The illness weakened me, but it also made me stronger. I learned to take care of myself. I learned to face my fears. And most importantly, I learned that a painful truth is better than a sweet lie. One rainy afternoon, Daniel came to Evelyn's house. When I opened the door and saw him, my heart still ached. He had lost so much weight. His face was full of exhaustion. Daniel handed me an envelope. "I know you won't forgive me, but I want you to read this." Inside were the papers selling our apartment. He had sold it to pay for all my treatment. I looked up at him. Daniel smiled sadly. "This time, I want to do the right thing." I was silent for a long time. Then finally I said, "I don't hate you." His eyes immediately reddened. "But I can't love you like I used to either." He bowed his head. "There are wounds that cannot be healed by an apology." Daniel left in the rain, and that was the last time I saw him. A year later, my health gradually stabilized. I started working again. Dr. Rebecca once told me, "You survived not only because of the medicine, but because you chose to face the truth." I still remember that saying to this day, because sometimes the most dangerous thing isn't the disease, but the lies disguised as love. Thank you for listening to this story to the end. If this story moved you, don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel, and comment your thoughts. Who knows? The next story might change the way you see life forever.